welcome to another car review. Today we're going to be reviewing this, a 1972 Mercedes Benz 220D. Let's check it out. Now in this video I'll be taking you through the many features that this Mercedes Benz has and why I say these are some of the best cars ever made. They're incredibly reliable cars. I think everyone should have the chance to drive one of these, or at least live with one of these for a little while, because they're such interesting vehicles. This one is incredibly simple. I'll take you through all of this. Let's start this review. Now we're going to be starting this review with an exterior walk around of the Mercedes Benz. I think this is a W117 or 16. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mercedes people. But yeah, let's take a look around this thing. So it's a little bit rough, but it's a very reliable car. And anyway, the exterior is rough, but the interior is actually very clean. It's very nice inside. It's just the exterior that's rough. Under the hood, we have a 2.2-liter naturally aspirated diesel 4-cylinder. I'll get to that when we get to that point of the review. But the hubcaps on this car are these beautiful Willwood white, I think is the color. They're absolutely beautiful. But they're not made of aluminum or stainless steel like most hubcaps would be. They're actually normal steel, so they have a tendency to rot out. These ones haven't rotted out yet, but yes, these have a tendency to rot out sometimes. The rear end of this car is also very good. Kind of reminds me of a Lada a little bit. But yeah, and of course we have the beautiful Mercedes crest, the 3-pointed star. Very beautiful. Going to the front again, I'll just show you. We have this beautiful Mercedes Benz hood ornament with what appears to be a radiator cap base. That's very nice. It's a throwback to the older cars. We have fog lamp holders, both sides. And this is all just nice. This is literally just screwed in from the factory with Phillips screws, all this. We have an old repair with some very thin sheet aluminum here, which is very bad repair. But, hey, the car's still here 50 years later. Let's take a look at the interior. So inside the Mercedes-Benz 220D is actually a very comfortable place to be. The seats, they have very good cushioning in them. The interior of this car, if you've ever ridden in a Mercedes diesel, you know the smell that these cars have. It's very specific to these cars. It's this weird seat material. It's not quite leather. It's a mix between leather and something else. And diesel fuel, which I think those two smells combined smell really nice. But anyway, it's a very comfortable place to be. The steering wheel does have a lock, which is good. Somehow, I don't know, it's very hard to push the car with the steering lock. We have various controls here. We have your wipers and your turn signals, which do not stay down for some reason on this vehicle. You got your horn ring. Let me see if I got the keys. I can demonstrate to you the horn. Oh, I think I got the keys on the seat. Yeah. So here are the keys. I can demonstrate to you this very old horn. Let me just turn the steering lock. There we go. Now this noise is very familiar. Very familiar noise. But let me just demonstrate to you the horn. Very Mercedes, very German. But anyway, to start this car, you turn the key, and you see this knob here. Hold on, I'll bring you in for a closer look. So to start this vehicle, first thing we have to do is turn the key, which I have to turn the wheel a bit to do that. All right. So now that the key is turned, we have the light that just came on, and we have this knob here. Start, engine start, pull. You pull that. Now, just there, that basically turns your ignition on, basically. If you push that in all the way, the car will turn on. But if you pull it just a bit out, you see that light dim. You look down here at your glow plugs. There's a little coil in there that'll start to glow red. And now that that coil is glowing red, you pull the knob a little bit more. Let's make sure let's put the clutch in. And your car starts. You have to turn it off. You press the knob back in. Now, I have a big problem with that kind of ignition and starting, because when you pull it for the starter, the glow plugs turn off, which you kind of need that when it's really cold. Like when it's about 30 degrees, you need that. But let's take a look at the interior of this thing. So here is a very beautiful gauge pod. That is absolutely beautiful. That's going on 48 Packard style beautiful. But you've got all these gauges in this one, along with your warning lights. You have your temperature gauge, which doesn't work, your fuel gauge, and your oil pressure gauge. You have a clock, which is just a very nice clock. There's your speedometer. Oh, what is that in the reflection? But there's your speedometer. Goes up to 100 miles an hour. I don't think this car could do 100 miles an hour. I think it tops out at 85. Over here, all your various controls is your brake release. I'm not sure what that one does yet. Vents, I think this is your open and close your vents. There's your lights, which is very stupid because this is off, but sometimes you turn the lights all the way that way and you think they're off. They're not. Vertically up is off. We've had the battery die on this thing so many times because of the light switch. Here's your heater. The controls are kind of confusing, but you understand them after a while. Of course, the nameplate Samuel Graham, who purchased this car new, what was he thinking? You could have got a Citroen DS or like a Buick or something, but no, you bought a Mercedes. A diesel Mercedes that was used as a taxi cab in other countries. There's your cigarette lighter, because of course you need that. It's 1972. Your fasten seatbelts warning light. My MG has that, so does my Citroen. There's your Mercedes Benz Becker Europa radio. That's actually a very nice looking radio. Unfortunately, it just all comes apart because it is a poor quality piece. Your hazard warning light button, your ashtray, which is still filled with cigarette ash. You have this switch down here. I think this is your compression kill. I'm not sure. And you have a vent down here. You have a little cubby hole. And a very good part about this car, you have your 4-speed manual transmission. Now, as I've said with most cars, or as I'm going to say, with most cars with 4 speeds, they could do with a 5th gear because they get a bit buzzy on the highway. This is no exception to that rule. It needs a 5th gear. That's what I'm going to say. It gets very buzzy. This thing tops out at 85. With a 5th gear, I think you can get it up to 100. Here are your seatbelts. Oh, yeah, the seatbelts. So, let me get out for this one. So, let me shut that off. So, your seatbelts in this car are lap belts. Okay? Lap belts. But you also have this third point harness here, which connects into the lap belt. Kind of like my Pontiac Aztek with the rear middle seat. But the problem is, this is the worst seatbelt ever. This constantly just falls out. No matter how tight you tighten it, this will just fall out the second you move. It's not great. The door cards on this Mercedes Benz are absolutely beautiful. Let me take you to this side so the sun isn't blocking everything. So there's your armrest. Very comfortable. You have your quarter window winder, which basically opens your quarter window like this. A lot of European cars had this back in the day. This kind, my NSU Prinz has that. Here's your door handle. Very nice as well. And you have your window crank with the leather insert. That just completes the touch. Glove box. Fairly big glove box. I mean, it could be a bit bigger, but it's a pretty good size. And it's also got a very high quality tick to it. This whole car appears to be high quality. Just listen to the doors. Very nice click to open them. Uh-oh. Oh, yeah, you can't open this door. Stay closed. There we go. Very nice click to close them. I think I'll demonstrate that with this one. Very nice to open. Very nice to close. But this is a very basic car. Don't be fooled. Notice what's missing on this side? A mirror. Mirrors are only on the driver's side. I think passenger side mirror was optional. This is a very basic car. The trunk of a Mercedes Benz 220 is very large indeed, where you can store extra hubcaps and headrests that are to a completely different car. You also have your spare tire, which had a blowout. And let me just demonstrate to you something that I hate. This jack. This did not come with the car originally, but it came with the car when we bought it. This is a mechanical version of a hydraulic jack. This is basically a hydraulic jack made mechanical. This is the worst jack anyone has ever used. Matter of fact, it does not go down. We had to lift the car off the ground in order to change the tire. That's how bad this is. And that's why it will live in there forever and never be used again. Now, under the hood of the Mercedes Benz 220 is actually a fairly nice place to be. Let me take you in for a closer look. So here we have the 2.2 liter inline 4. Now these later versions of this, like 75, 76, they had a 3 liter 5-cylinder, which is probably the ultimate version of this car. But I think that had a lot of vacuum stuff. You see, the whole reason this car is as reliable as it is because there's no vacuum stuff. Because later cars like the W123 model, which is probably one of the best looking Mercedes ever made, everything was driven by vacuum. and the vacuum stuff would always die. It's awful. But yeah, here's your motor. There's your glow plugs. There's a leaky fuel injector. That has to be fixed. You have your garbage Walmart battery that dies at every chance it gets. Over here, you have your oil bath air cleaner. This is not a paper element. As a matter of fact, the paper element air cleaner, I think, first debuted on the W123 series Mercedes Benzes, which my cousin used to own one of those, and he was always griping about how the air filters were all so complicated, because that was probably the first paper air filter they designed. This is oil bath. Now, I think that was enough of a look at this gorgeous, luxury, but basic German sedan. Let's take this thing out for a spin. Alright, here we go, driving the Mercedes 220D. Honestly, not that bad. I mean, it's very shaky. I don't think this thing has shock absorbing. Alright, so we're driving the Mercedes Benz 220D. It is a very shaky vehicle. That's because I don't think it has shock absorbing engine mounts. The Mercedes, the diesels they had, especially the 4 cylinders, they're very shaky. I mean, this is really bad. But, you know, with this motor, it wouldn't be unreasonable to probably get very, very good motor. Very fuel efficient. This is just 4 cylinder. But as I said, it gets a bit better.